Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another 505 Sports Venture program. We're here on the ProView Network studios, high above Central Avenue in beautiful downtown Albuquerque. I've got my producer, Adrian, behind the glass, and up the stairs in the president's chair is Steve Davis, who I thank every day for the ability to get on this network. Anyway, before we get to a very special guest, and in this our holiday special, I'm going to ask everyone out there who's interested in joining our movement to support Lobo Sports, check our website out, 505sports.org. That's 505sports.org. We're headed toward a January 4th gala that's open to the public to celebrate both men's and women's basketball and the start of the Mountain West Conference season. That's January 4th. Again, tickets are going fast. It's open to the public, 505sports.org. Check it out. And as we've seen, some interesting stuff's happened recently. Bronco's been hired. Our Lobo men's and women's basketball teams are off to great starts. And we're seeing a lot of success happening in our younger players. For men's basketball, we've seen Donovan Dent, JT Toppin, and True Washington really explode from the start. And the reason I'm talking about that right now is our primary goal at 505 Sports Venture Foundation is to retain our student athletes in the era of the transfer portal. So we need your help. Jump on board. It's 505sports.org. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with our guest in 1 minute. Stay with us.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to play. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? It's Corey Crossing here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try to be better than all my attention. I can show that you got my attention. See your baby, I get you to the minutes. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
You ready, son? Ready?
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together
Pull together.
to make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to our holiday edition 505 Sports Venture program. I'm going to introduce my guest, a little pre-introduction before we talk to him. He is a member of our board at 505 SVF. He's a local businessman Been in Albuquerque forever. And he has a very interesting, well, we share an affliction. But his story is a little different than mine, coming from the East Coast. He comes from inside. And I want to introduce you to Jason Tomlin. Hey, Jason, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, and I'm glad to be here today.
All right. So we share an affliction. It's Lobo basketball.
Absolutely.
I don't call it an addiction because an addiction has a negative connotation.
Absolutely.
An affliction is a positive thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we've gotten to know each other over the last couple of years. All right, first tell me about Solano Traders, a little bit about it.
Yeah, just in a nutshell, it's kind of difficult to exactly say what we do. We're kind of a high-tech Sanford and Son, if you remember that reference to that. But we're high-tech junk men, pretty much what we do. We do laboratory and scientific surplus. We buy a ton from the government, and we're just buying and selling constantly. And it became from a little business in the garage to now we have 10,000 square feet of warehouses and employees, and we ship out hundreds of items a day. So it's just a large enterprise now.
All right, high-tech junk man, it's great.
Yeah.
All right, so I got introduced to you a couple years ago by someone at the Lobo Club at a game. And it didn't dawn on me till after we met. I've got taken to you to meet you and your lovely wife, Kerry, by Paige, who's no longer at the Lobo Club. And she took me to your seats, and you were sitting behind the basket, kind of next to Snake in the student section. Now, I didn't think anything of it till I went back to my seat. I said, what's he doing there? So, what are you doing there?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of an unknown fact that when they moved the student section about, 10, 15 years ago from the middle of the concourse to the behind the basket, that front row, we've had tickets in the front row since the pit opened in 1966. My family has. And so when they moved the students there, I read in the paper and I was panicked thinking we lost our seats. And what happened was Rudy Davalos continued to just keep that first row available to us, and we kept our seats there. So now we keep getting told that we're not students, that we don't belong in that front row and such. But we are there every single week, every game, cheering on our Lobos, and it's a blast to be there. So
I won't make you tell any, but you have great Snake stories.
Yeah, I have a ton of great Snake stories. He's kind of my claim to fame, and he's actually a wonderful guy when you get to know him. He takes pictures with the kids and all that kind of stuff, but I can tell you some great, incredible stories behind the scenes, but he's a different cat.
Yeah, we'll save those stories for off the record.
Sure,
we don't want to. I have a few of my own.
I don't want to incriminate him, and I don't want him to go to have any problems during this time.
Yeah, I would incriminate myself sometimes
exactly.
when I tell Snake stories. Okay, so you've been in the front row. Your family's been in the front row for 50 years.
Yeah.
Longer. So you have a million memories of mostly great, some wild ones.
Terrible.
I also know, and I appreciate, you have a regular rapport with many of the officials at these games. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so just because of where we sit, we kind of have an audience with the officials. So I made it a fact before every game to kind of learn their names, trying to chat with them. Sometimes they'll chat with you, some of them won't. And then, and then we get into some arguments over calls and such, and I ask them about it, and I ask them to go look at certain things. And I've been told by a few officials to shut up and sit down, and I've been every single person in my family, from my grandmother to my grandfather to my parents to my wife and myself, all have been threatened at one time to be thrown out of the pit by an official that has their panties in a wad. We could say that. So.
Do you have a favorite official, for not that he's a great official, that there's a rapport? Do you have somebody you like to see?
Sean Lehigh's been great lately. He just has a big smile on his face. He comes in, he'll talk with you, he'll just sit there and chat. He'll tell, I'll ask him that call was wrong, and he'll go in during halftime and check it out and then discuss it with me. So it's kind of fun. Eric Curry, who kind of looks like Bill Clinton, he told Snake one time before the game to tell those two blondies in the front row to sit down and shut up. So we kind of have a running rapport with him. So yeah, I love them. They're great. And then at times, we get in some battles over calls.
Do you have one that's on the bottom of the list?
Absolutely. I don't know if I should say it out loud, but there's an official by the name of Michael Greenstein, that I helped the ball kids with the mop, And so I get out on the floor sometimes, and every time I take the mop out there, he tells me to get off the floor, that I don't have access. And I'm like, I'm helping the 10-year-old boys with a mop, and he gets mad at me every single time and threatens to throw me out. He just does not like me for some reason. So
Well, who knows?
he gave Richard a technical too recently, so I'm not sure he's on Richard's Christmas list either. So
Okay. So obviously you've seen Lobo basketball back to the days of the WAC,
sure.
into the Mountain West, which for an old timer like me seems to be the Mountain West is new.
Sure.
But now you realize, I'm told it's almost a quarter century old.
Yeah.
So new is not the way to describe it. So I'm sure you can talk for quite some time about some great games and some of your favorite players. So we're going to save that for our next segment. And then we'll get to the game tonight, because
Sure.
there is a game tonight. So, all right, everybody, we'll be back. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with part 2 of today's show. Stay with us.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. You're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers, underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-post.
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts?
What's the worst that can happen?
Seriously? Buckle up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back with our special guest, Jason T. And we're going to reminisce a little bit here. All right, 1966 to now. A lot of water under that bridge. Let's talk about your favorite Lobo moments.
Favorite moments. The first one that comes to mind, I moved back to Albuquerque in about 1997. So I came back as Kenny Thomas was a sophomore on that great team. And the first great moment that I can remember in the pit that just overwhelmed me was the Royce Only mugging in the corner where he mugged Andre Miller, steals the ball, hits the three, and we beat Utah, who was 3rd or 4th ranked in the country. It was the loudest I think I've ever heard the pit. It solidified my fandom for life, and I can still hear Majerus yelling, he fouled him, he fouled him, he fouled him, and it was just, it was an incredible game. And I was 24, 25 years old, and just incredible game. So.
Well, you described it as a mugging, so you agree with Majerus? It was fouled, or was it just a good defensive mugging?
From a Lobo fan, it was a perfectly defended play. From Majerus' point of view, I can see what it was, but it was a pit moment. The pit overwhelmed the moment. Even a great player like Andre Miller just got overwhelmed by the moment, and the pit just took over, and it was a special place and a special time.
All right, that's a great one. I unfortunately was not in the pit. I was in a saloon in New York City, and all my friends had given up and said, you guys are losers. And I said, no, wait. I wasn't confident, but I knew the pit was the pit.
Sure.
All right, got a second favorite?
Second favorite. there's been many over the years. There was a couple games with Jimmer Fredette with BYU. There were some great games. There was a game back probably 10 years ago against BYU where it was so loud and the student section was so ramped up that the bleachers actually in our section actually collapsed. And then they charged the court and had bleachers and stuff. So it was just incredible. There's so many great moments. I've been to many sporting events from World Series to Final Fours to NFL and stuff, but there's nothing like the Pit when the Pit is special. And there's been so many great moments, and it's as you said, it's addictive. It's just it fuels my blood in my veins. So
well, I agree. I get excited on game day.
Yeah.
I'm approaching 70 years old. I wake up this morning. We got a game against Cal Irvine. Like, So, all right. So we've talked off camera. We've had some bad moments.
Sure.
But last year was special.
Oh.
And there were two specific moments that occurred at the buzzer, which never occurs in the season, in Diego State. Obviously, we didn't know at that time.
Sure.
This was a team that was going to the championship
Sure.
game. We had no idea. But we knew they were good. They were the clear leaders in the conference. We had smoked them in Viejas, just blew them out. And now here we are on the precipice of a sweep, and this kid takes his time.
Oh, yeah.
Drives, dribbles. He was not passing the ball.
No.
And when the ball left Butler's hand, did you know it was in?
As soon as I left his hand, I knew it. What had happened, which is interesting before that situation, was Jalen steals the ball, makes the basket, place is going nuts, and Snake starts to run out to the court like the game is over. And I grabbed him and tackled him so that we didn't get a technical foul because he thought the game was over, and yet the game wasn't over. The kid comes down, just kind of lollygags down, takes that shot, and when it went up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen again. They hit that shot. I can remember I didn't sleep that night. I went over and over thinking, how could we stop that? It was devastating. And then to have it happen twice in 1 year in the Pit, that was crazy.
That's wrong.
Yeah,
That's
it's wrong.
fundamentally wrong.
It
Global
shouldn't
fans
happen.
know that.
Shouldn't happen.
Doesn't happen. And we've addressed that with Coach Patino.
Yeah, exactly.
He understands where we're coming from. Don't let that happen again.
No more losses.
Coach a little better at the last seconds against those shots. Yeah, well, we saw Mr. Butler kind of recreate that on the national scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did another one. So we were so close. You could feel it. But I think that's where we're getting back to the Pit being a dominant location.
Absolutely, and I believe that when we get it back where it's a home court, we should never lose in the Pit, no matter who comes to the Pit and whatever the situation is. So I think that's the goal of the team. I think that's the goal of protect the Pit. If you protect your home court, win half of your road games in the conference, I think then it's a schedule to success, probably to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that. A couple weeks back we had the great Kenny Thomas on, who you mentioned, and Kenny played 4 years and was 71-3 in the Pit.
Yeah.
And we got a taste of that. It's possible.
Absolutely.
When the Lobos lost, your jaw dropped.
Oh,
you were
absolutely.
surprised.
Yeah.
So we'll be back. We're going to take a break. Stay with us, and we'll be back with this final segment.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro V. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Little Nation? Ja'Cory Cross-Camara here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need to bring up off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my attention. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I give you the business. Touchdown, they pay you a visit.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She's been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They've been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us, and my wife, and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Jason, thanks for being here today. All right, on the last segment, you and I also share, as part of this affliction, we're road warriors.
Yes.
We go on as many road trips with this team as we can. Some are different than others. We go to gyms with squeaky sneakers, 1,000 people in Wyoming, or you can go to a crazy place. Well, one of the craziest places I've ever been is Logan, Utah, with the Aggies. What's your favorite place on the road?
Well, on the road, I think the craziest place for sure is Utah State. That was one of the most amazing experiences. I mean, they talk about student sections. They're underrated. They have these orchestrated chants and all this kind of stuff. They run their mouth against you.
It was 40% of the 80. It's by far
absolutely.
the largest student section in the Mountain West. There's no comparison. No. It wrapped around the arena. Whereas, and I agree, San Diego State is immensely overrated.
Yes.
Those dudes and gals didn't go for years. That place was until Fisher came in. And obviously that's a long time for some of you younger fans. Fisher is it. We went for years where guys like Tony Gwynn played basketball.
Michael Cage.
Nobody went. Michael Cage was a NBA All-Star. Nobody went to San Diego. And even now, they slip a little bit or they go in a little bad streak. There's seats in that section. It'll be interesting. Colorado State, they have a very busy student section.
Yes.
It's right by the Lobo bench. It's a January 2nd game. School is not in session, but they may be in the top 10.
Yes.
Will you be at that game?
Yeah, we'll be at that game. Absolutely. Can't wait for that game. It's kind of been circled on my calendar since they got into the top 25. It's an interesting arena. When they're good, it's a great atmosphere. The students are great. They're intense, all that kind of stuff. But it should be a fun atmosphere. I can remember years ago when Kendall went off for that 40 or 50 points to beat them. So I'm hoping for something like that maybe MASH or House go crazy during this game. But yeah, it's going to be an incredible game. I look forward to it and got it circled, ready to go. So
yeah, let's not. And all Lobo fans, we all share this fear. We've got Cal Irvine, the Anteaters, are really
and just put it on them. I think a bounce back from the New Mexico State game. They're probably going to look to want to come out because they missed a lot of shots and kind of struggled. It was kind of they struggled a little bit on the road first time in a month. So I think they'll come back and be strong tonight. But it's going to be an intense challenge for them because it's a good team.
Yeah, you mentioned New Mexico State. I had already forgot about that game because I don't want to
think too
much about it. We looked at each other with under a minute left and said, they're going to lose to this team.
Exactly.
The Donovan Dent play.
Yeah,
one of the greatest plays in Lobo history.
Yeah, one of the greatest plays. I think one of the two greatest plays in Lobo history, other than the Kendall Williams in Puerto Rico or Virgin Islands when he stole the ball with 10 seconds and threw the pancake and then it went to Tony Snell in the corner to finish it. But that finish by Donovan Dent was absolutely, in person, I can't even explain it. It was absolutely incredible, breathtaking, incredible play, and I will always remember that moment. And like we said, we turned to each other down 4 thinking this game's over, and they found a way to win. House's huge 3 was great. And then Dent, I have no idea how he corkscrewed through there, but it was one of the best plays in Lobo history.
Yeah, time-wise, but the artistry at any moment in the park, that shot is just a ridiculous. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and go Lobos.
Go Lobos.
Thanks for being here.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sal, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our
Touchdown, they pay more